From Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go, this is Valley News Live 10 at 10.
And the most important thing between a doctor and patient is trust.
They've served our country, defending our freedom, and many have lost life and limb doing so. But who's treating these heroes when they return home?
When you go to the doctor's office or to the clinic, you have an expectation that the people treating you are qualified, right? Our investigation has found that the credentials of several doctors at the VA hospital here in Fargo are not exactly what's advertised. Valley News Team's Bradford Eric has been looking into this for weeks now.
Nationwide, we've heard of scandals involving the VA, including patients actually dying in waiting rooms before they could get in to see a doctor. But that doctor may not even be as qualified as they should be, despite what is being advertised. This website lists the doctors practicing at the Fargo VA hospital, and you can clearly see on the website a column listing which ones are board certified. I checked into national and state databases to find out if these people are who they're advertised to be. My first stop was with the American Board of Medical Specialties, which houses a nationwide master list of doctors that are board certified. Most of the Fargo VA folks checked out, but for the ones who didn't, I kept digging. I checked with the North Dakota Board of Medicine, asking who and who isn't licensed to practice medicine. That further narrowed my list. Then I began checking into extremely specific genres of medicine. The American Board of Prosthodontics, the National Commission on Certification of Physician's Assistants, and the American Board of Podiatric Medicine. 6 doctors keeping our veterans healthy and advertised as being board certified did not show up in any place I looked.
So I think it's harmful to patients when people say they're something that they're not.
Dr. Sherry Orser is the North Dakota delegate to the American Medical Association and a practicing OB/GYN in Bismarck. She says all this does is erode that trust between a doctor and their patients.
And the most important thing between a doctor and patient is trust.
So what is board certification, and what does it mean to you if you see that next to your doctor's name?
What it means is you went through a residency program and you took a test or series of tests depending on your specialty that showed that you were an expert in that specialty.
It means your doctor went above and beyond, spending extra time and money to make sure they are up to date with best practices and the latest advances in their field.
And then there's the American Board of Physician Specialists, and then I think there's a couple others that are out there.
Okay.
So the ABMS is one, but they might be board certified in something else.
Dr. Breton Weintraub, Chief of Staff of the Fargo VA, says he's confident that his people are who they say they are, despite my investigation. But that's part of the problem here. There are so many medical boards that somebody can be certified with, it's nearly impossible to find out if it's true. Even Dr. Weintraub, a board-certified doctor himself, admits it's incredibly difficult information for the average patient to find out.
So which board certified them? And some, we can't distinguish between them as a facility. It's, there are different boards, there's different specialties, there's different requirements.
Another problem, the VA's website listing the doctors practicing and their credentials is only updated periodically, and it changed since I began my investigation, with some doctors removed. Bradford Eric, Valley News Live.
Since our investigation began, the Fargo VA has removed the board certification information from their website. And if you look at the column, is now blank. Furthermore, since our investigation began and we started questioning the VA, we've uncovered other errors in their information, such as spelling of doctors' names.
The VA says they have a rigorous credentialing process directly verifying qualifications of all their providers. To hear more from the VA about their doctors, we've posted their statement on our website. We have also included a list of all the places we looked to try to find out if these doctors' credentials are true. You can visit our website, valleynewslive.com, and click on this story.
In other news tonight, we're just hours away from Super Tuesday, and robocalls from a white supremacist organization are now happening in the Red River Valley. The calls from the American National Super PAC say Donald Trump is not afraid of being called racist. He's our man, and he should be yours too. The organization includes an anti-immigration message that some would call hate speech, wanting to return the U.S. to white rule.
The white race is dying out in America and Europe because we are afraid to be called racist.
And I felt, what is this? I mean, I was very, very angry, and then I began to feel very sad and really worried that there are people who might feel this way.
Sumala got the call the other day and says that she was appalled at what she heard. We've posted more information about the American National Super PAC on our website. Just visit valleynewslive.com and click on this story.
It's almost Super Tuesday. Minnesota, the land of 10,000 lakes, is one of 12 states in play on this pivotal day in the presidential campaign, when almost half of the delegates needed to win both party nominations are up for grabs. In Minnesota, the 5 remaining Republicans are battling it out for 38 delegates, while Sanders and Clinton are vying for 77 delegate candidates from both sides of the aisle. They've stopped in Minnesota over the last week.
We cannot take the risk of nominating someone that cannot and will not win and cannot and will not unify our party.
The truth is, tomorrow is important and key to Super Tuesday is what happens here in Minnesota. We can win. No question here in Minnesota, if we have a turnout.
To find your caucus site, check out valleynewslive.com, where we have posted a link to that information.
4 students have been hurt after a shooting in an Ohio high school. Police say a 14-year-old student opened fire inside the Madison Junior-Senior High School cafeteria this morning. 2 students were shot and 2 others were hurt while trying to exit. All of their injuries are non-life-threatening. Police say the shooter ran from the building and dropped the weapon, but was taken into custody near school grounds.
Leap year is a special day as some families celebrate rare birthdays. A family in Barnesville is celebrating its first day home after their own special birth.
Valley News Team's Krista Boehm explains how a father and daughter now share a bond for life and the unique delivery.
She's been very calm, too.
Yeah. Little hands all over.
It's been a calm and quiet first day home for this adorable little girl. But Adeline Swenson's first day in the world was quite the opposite.
I was screaming in pain, and I had never gotten to that point before with labors with my boys. And so I'm like, okay, something's just not right.
After a false alarm hospital run, Crystal wanted to be absolutely sure she was going into labor.
This is my 3rd baby, so I should know when this is going to happen. I've done this before.
When the time came, she and her husband Nathan got in the car in Barnesville on their way to a Fargo hospital, but barely made it 4 miles.
I thought, I'm going to have this kid in the car. We're not going to make it to the hospital.
We got onto Old 52 and she said, I have to push. And I've heard them 4 words, or I've heard those words 4 other times, and I knew exactly what was going to happen.
Nathan is an EMT and has delivered 4 other babies in his career. He turned from dad mode
you got the hiccups now
to work mode.
Made a decision right then and there that it was best to turn around and get to the EMS station and call for my crew.
Out in the open with the birds and trees.
Came outside and I saw baby's head was already coming out.
Daddy delivered baby Adeline inside their Chevy Impala.
I just ended up switching my legs out to the side and just did what I was told by him and delivered a baby with the car console in my back and
eventually surrounded by ambulance and local law enforcement who helped create a bit of privacy.
The ambulance just needed to be started and drove right outside the door.
At that moment, I could have cared less. I don't care who shows up or who sees what, as long as you're there to help me, I don't care.
A shock to both mom and dad, who now have a healthy baby girl to join the Swenson family.
Dad will remind her, hey, you know who delivered you? I did.
Want to be an EMT when you get older?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Are you going to deliver your own babies? Yeah.
No, say no. Say no.
Safe and sound. In Barnesville, Krista Boehm, Valley News Live.
What a great story. Barnesville police and Clay County deputies showed up to the EMS station to help surround the car as Adeline came into the world. Deputies even helped by cleaning their car while the family traveled to the hospital.